gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's July 1st, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, it's July the 1st, but Independence Day has come early for CaneSport.com. We became free agents, believe it or not, at 12 o'clock midnight at last night. And we have moved our site to the On3 network, the new On3 network. The first thing I could say about our move to On3, and I write an entire column about it on the website today, is that I see CaneSport as having two missions. One, to produce the best Miami Hurricanes website that has ever been created. That's number one. And then number two, what we would like to accomplish is we would like to unite the entire fan base under one roof and have everybody be able to reside with each other on a daily basis in a good environment for productive conversation. And we're giving all of our subscribers through the 20 years that CaneSport.com has existed. Everybody's got a clean slate on this new site, whether they've been banned and not banned, it doesn't matter. It's up to them what they do with the clean slate. And our goal is for everybody to be able to be a part of CaneSport.com, which we are going to do everything that we can humanly possible do to make the best Miami Hurricanes website that has ever been created with next generation content. You see the start of it today. We've created a new series called UM Goats with esteemed broadcaster Roy Firestone, who's a Miami alum. He's been on CaneSport probably since our birth. And we've gotten together and collaborated on this series, which is just going to be absolutely epic content, unlike nothing that has been ever seen before, Matt, on a team site. And, we are going to attempt to continue expanding upon that on a daily basis and kind of just raising the bar on what we produce on a daily basis. We're going to be doubling our staff. Part of our move to On3 is a massive network of national writers, both in recruiting and news. You're going to see that on a daily basis. Just an enormous amount of additional content that you are not used to. We'll be expanding our YouTube channels. We'll be expanding our podcasts. I could go on and on and on. I cover a lot of it in my column today. But Matt, I want to let you speak here because I've spoken for the first 3 minutes. And all in all, for us, I think, you and I have worked together for a very long time. It's exciting to go try something new and see if we can go outside the box and take this thing to a whole nother level.
I mean, I have a few thoughts, I mean, first of all, it would have been nice if you told me before 11:59 p.m. last night that we were moving. That would have been helpful. I had all the wrong bookmarks in there. I had to change everything around at midnight. That was super frustrating. But once you told me, I did write a speech here. So let me read the speech here. Hold on a sec. Okay. I look forward to the future with CaneSport and On3.
All right.
That's all I got. That's all I got. And listen, I just want people to understand doubling our staff. What Gary means is I work twice as hard. That's all he means. No, we are doubling our staff.
No, we are. We're in the process of doing that.
Listen, I mean, look, I was actually a little nostalgic yesterday. I got to tell you. I mean, we when I started, there was no websites. We had a bulletin board. We called it. People who are watching below the age of 40 or 45 probably don't even know what a BBS is. That's what we had. We had a BBS. Ask your parents, you youngsters out there, what a BBS is. They may or may not still remember it. I think it's called the bulletin board system, maybe is what it stands for. There was something called Grassy, which people probably think is marijuana. It wasn't. That was our main competitor back then. Some guy who lived in like Ohio or somewhere, I don't know.
Michigan.
He was a Cane fan.
He lived in Michigan.
Michigan, right. And he tried to sell us his site at one point. then we morphed. We were doing print newspapers. Where I remember being in we had an actual office. I didn't have this Indian behind me. I didn't have this nice office in my house behind me. I would come to the office up in where was it, in Hollywood, I think, at that time, right?
Yep.
And
we were at Pembroke Pines.
Pembroke Pines, right? And I was living on Brickell at the time. I'd drive up to Pembroke Pines. Every Sunday we'd put together the paper. We'd literally print out the stories, cut them out with an X-Acto knife, paste them. And when I say paste them, I'm talking about with paste. Paste them onto a giant board like what you're.
It was wax. It was wax, but
wax, right, wax. But what it's like a project your sixth grade, son or daughter would put together, and then you bring those to the printer eventually the next morning. They take photos of them. They put the negatives on these giant presses. On these I don't know what they're even called, the plates. They print it out. You do a print run. I did some print runs on my own, Gary, when you weren't available, and that's how we did it. And
that's when the fun began, because then we had to get them into the hands of people, and the mail service. Right. You find out when you start mass mailing how bad our postal service is, and we would mail first thing Monday morning, and we'd start getting calls the following Friday. The next game was getting ready to be played, and people hadn't gotten their CaneSport yet. So then what we had to do was go to first class mail for people out of town, and people in town. We hired the USA Today delivery carrier service to literally deliver CaneSport to people's homes like the morning newspaper. And we tried that for a while. Then eventually, Matt mentioned this bulletin board service. We literally had a computer in our office that had, I think, 7 modems hooked up to it. And we would hear the thing buzzing all day long. There's a bunch of you guys that I'm sure are still with us.
I remember that noise, it was like,
yeah,
remember to connect you to AOL. Yeah, we had AOL. That's what we had. We had AOL was how we connect. Yeah.
Well, we had that too, but we'd hear these modems going off all day long. And I know some of you guys would call in to get your news of the day and the recruiting news and things like that. Well, to finish the story, so then I'm sitting at a conference in Washington, D.C., and some computer geek comes up to the stage to make a presentation. And he hooks up his, I guess it was some type of computer. It was an early stage computer. And he types in Yahoo, believe it or not, onto something that kind of resembled a modern day browser. He types in Yahoo, and this thing comes up, and then he types in Florida Gators, of all things, and the screen just starts like going crazy and pulling all this stuff from all over what then was just some universe, and all this stuff about the Florida Gators. I'm like, oh my God. And then he tells us this is going to be the internet. And like, honestly, Matt, from that second, and I'm sure you remember this, we were all in on how we could create the best product for the Miami Hurricanes fan base in this new emerging online universe. And we started as an independent site. We were very careful in who we wanted to partner with and what we wanted to do. And then a company that had already gone out of business the first time they tried had new ownership and came to meet with me and a guy named Stu Coleman, who was the publisher of the Michigan product called the Wolverine, came to meet with us in Atlanta to ask us to join Rivals.com. And we were the first 2 websites that did, us and the Wolverine, and we joined Rivals.com, and we've been with Rivals now for 20 years. And, a lot of ups and downs through the years. I'm not going to bore everybody with them. I'm not going to talk about them out of respect for our former home and everything. But now we're free agents at midnight last night. And, we had to figure out what is the best course of action for us to accomplish that mission that I talked to you about. I wanted to create the best website ever created with new tools and a new way of thinking. And I wanted us to be able to bring the entire fan base together, everybody that wanted to be part of us, together under one roof. And the timing was perfect. The On3 network was getting going. It is founded by the same guy that founded Rivals 20 years ago that I met with in Atlanta. And he eventually sold the original Rivals to Yahoo. And then after his non-compete with Yahoo, and for some reason that was only 1 year. That was a great thing for him. He then started 24/7 Sports. He built that up, sold that to CBS, and he's not a guy that's going to work for anybody. It's never going to work. It's like when you've worked for yourselves, like Matt and I have done for so long. It's like you're not going and taking a job working for somebody who's like on top of you every second of every day and all that, and telling you that they know better than you. So that, for obvious reasons, didn't work out after a little bit. And then he had a non-compete there too. And when that expired, he started the On3 network. And we were looking around. This was about a year and a half ago, and we were looking around, and we met and talked, and we looked into a lot of different things. We had opportunities to go independent with different people that wanted us to go independent and things like that. But at the end of the day, we had to make a decision at the end of last year, and at that point, we decided that we were going to join the On3 network. And Matt, I think you and I we've been preparing for this move. We've been very impressed with the infrastructure that we've found at On3, with the quality of people that we're dealing with on a daily basis, with the fact that it's a team of just professionals that are all pros, that know what they're doing and want to do their job well. There's nobody mailing in their jobs at any level of this operation. And I think that we are going to be able to accomplish mission one of our goal, which is to create the best website on the Miami Hurricanes that's ever been created.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I can add to that. Make the greatest Miami Hurricanes.
Listen, we're not aiming low here. Like we seriously, we're serious
people will
about
see today.
this.
People will see starting today. I mean, look, people who want to spend $1. I mean, back in the day, $1 went a long way. I would walk home from school. I'd spend 5 cents on one of those, what are the peppermint patties, whatever they're called. They're not peppermint patties, but I used to love those things. They were 5 cents. Then they were 10 cents. Then all of a sudden they were 25 cents. That's when I stopped getting those round circle silver foil things. I used to love those. But you probably can't even get one of those for $1 now, and you get a whole year.
Well, that was part of it. That was part two of the mission. Like, I felt that we needed, look, when you're moving to a new network, they want you to come. And, On3 wants to get big very quick, and they have investors. And we were able to work out this deal where everybody gets a full year subscription for $1 because, obviously people had time on their subscriptions at our former home, but we have no control over what happens in those situations. And I wanted to make it that everybody could come be a part of this new site without any financial implications whatsoever. So thus the first year is $1. And if it's for all Miami Hurricane fans, whether they've subscribed to CaneSport, haven't subscribed to CaneSport. This is an offer for all Miami Hurricane fans. And I hope it gives everybody a chance to come together under one roof and try it out. And if you're happy, you'll renew, and hopefully you will be. And, then we can continue to grow on it and build it and be one of the top websites in the United States of America, which would be nice. So that's the story behind our move to On3. And I wrote a column about it that's on the website this morning, so you guys can check that out. But Matt, let's dive into some of the other content, obviously, that we have. And we announced 2 days ago that we have collaborated with iconic broadcaster Roy Firestone. Spent many, many years at ESPN. He's one of the top interviewers in sports broadcasting history. And we've collaborated with Roy Firestone to create a new series called GOATs, the greatest of all time. And what these are going to be long-form interviews with some of the legends that you guys have come to know through the years. And we start today with part one of a two-part interview with legendary coach Jimmy Johnson. He won the national championship at Miami. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys. You are going to get to know Jimmy Johnson through this interview in a way that you've never known him before, and talking about things like growing up and whether he had sex with Janis Joplin, who was his neighbor around the corner, and what it was like to be a young guy growing up in a town and integrating with African American friends and players, and what it was like to have to acclimate to be able to coach all sorts of athletes as a coach, and just so much interesting conversation. Matt, Jimmy even tells the secret of why he has his hair the way he's had for his whole life, and we're not giving that away on this show. You got to watch the Goats episodes 1 and 2 to get the scoop on that. But it's amazing. It's an amazing story. Matt, you've watched the Jimmy Johnson interview, obviously, that Roy Firestone did. What were your thoughts after that?
Well, I want to know what he did. He lost his tooth. When did he get he never explained how he got a tooth back. What is that?
Yeah, that's a good question. He never did explain that. Yeah, no. Jimmy had his tooth knocked out when he was a kid, and I guess at some point in his life they replaced the tooth with an implant or whatever. I don't know, but
that's that. Yeah, maybe that's not that interesting a story compared to the other ones. I mean, it was a great interview. I am after Jimmy Johnson's time in terms of being down here, so I started with Butch. So it was interesting sort of seeing from his eyes, because of course I've heard all about when Jimmy was here, Jimmy this, Jimmy that. So it's interesting hearing through his eyes. Like, I didn't even realize the problems he had with the staff that first year he came in. I didn't know any of that stuff. I don't know if that's really public.
It was.
The fact that
it was very, very
walked
public.
out, another guy basically moved out of his office before the bowl game and didn't even call the last play on the Hail Mary by Doug Flutie. Like, that stuff I didn't know the details.
Trout. It was Bill Trout. He was Howard's defensive coordinator. Jimmy had to keep him. They did not get along at all. It was
that's pretty apparent in the interview.
Yeah, the season had its frustrations at times, and so they thought the game was over. And Bill Trout's packing up his stuff. He's out of there. He's already resigned, and he's in the elevator at the Orange Bowl, going down the elevator. And all of a sudden, Boston College is trying this Hail Mary pass on the last play, and they never had a defensive call. They never. I mean, it is absolutely amazing.
Jimmy said he was talking over the headset, and there was no response. He's like, "We're doing prevent, right? Prevent," and nobody was just talking to him.
Yeah, he's talking to himself.
No, but my favorite part of the whole thing, and he was so honest, which is what's great about it. A lot of these coaches, if they're coaches, it's coach talk. This was not. This was the furthest thing from coach talk, and Roy obviously does an amazing job. But my favorite part of the whole thing was when just the way he told it. I don't want to ruin something, but when he walks into Tadfoot's office expecting his contract extension, and that whole story that he told, I mean, you have to watch that. Like, that's Jimmy Johnson at his core. That's with the UM. That's the head of the UM. That's like your boss. And that story is priceless to me.
Priceless. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, this whole interview, and we had to break it into 2 parts because it was over an hour. It was too long for one sitting. So we have part 1 on air today, and then we'll have part 2 on Tuesday after the holiday weekend. You'll be able to watch that, and then on Wednesday we're going to have what we're calling UM Goats Overtime as part of the project. Roy Firestone interviewed Troy Aikman about Jimmy Johnson, and it was a great interview, just a great interview. So we took the entire thing because only a small part of it made the show. We took the whole thing and made it an overtime episode that we'll have on the website on Wednesday. So you guys are going to find it incredibly entertaining. I'm looking forward to getting your feedback about it on the website, and then we'll move on to other episodes.
That's what I wanted to say. Like, I don't want people to think this is Jimmy Johnson and you're done. This is several major,
We've taped 3 others. We've got 3 others that are fully produced that we will be showing this month. And then we'll be moving on, and each of them are absolutely amazing. I don't want to give them all away right now because that'll spoil the fun a week or so down the road. But I
will listen. I spoiler alert. One of them is not with me. I'm not one of the goats.
I get the
I was waiting for the call. Hello, Mr. Shodell. This is Mr. Firestone. I never got the call, Gary. I don't know why. I guess
you're not a goat.
It was an oversight, I'm sure.
You're a donkey. You're not a goat. But yeah, I mean, if I seem excited about it, it's because I am. It's one of the most amazing projects that we've ever undertaken at CaneSport. And I think you guys are going to really like it. Make sure you watch part 1 today of Goats with Jimmy Johnson. All right, moving on to other things going on today. We've got a story on the website about how today is decision day for 3 key Miami Hurricanes targets. And
by the way, can people still go to CaneSport.com, or do they have to go to something else?
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Yes, they can go
I haven't
to
tried.
CaneSport.com unless
Okay.
there's technical glitches. I'm told it could take some to matriculate through the whole internet. It could take a little bit of time, but hopefully by the time everybody's waking up this morning, if they're typing in CaneSport.com, it is working. So
you can always do on 3 and then find the Miami team.
If not, yeah, well, everyone who's subscribing already knows because they've been there. But you otherwise they can go through. But CaneSport.com should be working. All right. So anyway, so we've got a story on the website this morning about 3 key Miami Hurricane targets who are going to be announcing today. Now, this is, we've been talking on the show about how things are going to happen fast in June, and now it's July in recruiting. The Canes got a commitment yesterday from a young athlete by name of Robert Stafford. He's from the Melbourne area. And this kid, I'm telling you, he's under the radar a little bit. But when you turn on his tape, and I'm just going to talk about him right now, and then we'll get back to the other guys, because we do have a couple stories on the website today about Robert Stafford. But this kid is under the radar. And when you turn on the tape, which I'm going to do right now, he just jumps off. You see him right now. He's at the top of the screen, takes a little pass, and you see him. He just explodes out of and out runs everybody. And you can see how the distance just keeps getting greater. He is a dynamic athlete, this kid. Here he is again, top of the screen. You see he catches a quick slant, runs through everybody. No, I'm not, this isn't, the Kansas City Chiefs defense or whatever he's going against. No,
and he's also going to be a DB.
And yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say. He's also going to be a cornerback at the next level. And we're going to see a couple reps of him at cornerback too. But this kid, from people I've spoken to about him, is like an old school Hurricane. I mean, just like an incredible different level athlete, and you could really see it on this play. And he could play offense. He could, but he's going to be a cornerback. I mean, he likes defense better. And but you could see if he wanted to play wide receiver, he could. He's made a lot of plays in sequence here as an offensive player. And once he gets in the open field, you just see he just turns it on and he's gone. But he is projected as an elite cornerback at the college level. I mean, you're going to get to see him play cornerback here on this play. I couldn't find a ton of clips of him as a cornerback, but there he makes the interception. I think there's another one that shows you his physicality as a tackler. Coming up and making the tackle there. I'm excited about Robert Stafford, Matt. I think he is going to be a phenomenal player at Miami.
Yeah, and we have an update this morning with his coach. Really diving in on what he brings to the table. It's funny. The coach says he's so raw that and he talks about it like that's a good thing because he hasn't built any bad habits. Usually a coach will say, oh, he's got so much experience. He's working on it forever. He knows everything to do. This coach is like, he doesn't know anything, and that's good. So who am I? I'm just some schmuck who has a morning show with you. But I guess maybe you can make that a positive. I don't know. He has no bad habits because he barely has played defensive back so far. There you go. That's a new one. I haven't heard that before. But yeah, he's got all the intangibles that you want in a defensive back. He's got the size. He's got the hips, the speed. I mean, everything you want. So it's a great pickup.
All right, so he's in the fold, and the Canes aren't done. There's 3 guys that are announcing today. There's tight end Riley Williams, there's defensive end Jackson Howard, and there's defensive lineman Collins Achimapong. Okay, the minute that we were on the On3 network at midnight, the first thing I did was go into the system and put my recruiting prediction machines in for Riley Williams and Collins Achimapong, because I feel very strongly, Matt, that they are going to be Miami Hurricanes. Jackson Howard, I think, is more of a 60-40 deal. I think he's probably going to LSU, so I didn't put a prediction in on him. But if the Canes pick up Riley Williams, that's a third elite tight end. And right now they're all saying that they're going to stick if that ends up being the case. And that they all bring great things to the table. I mean, Jackson Carver was the first to commit. He's kind of the forgotten man right now. But trust me, that kid is going to be a great college football player. And Reed McKeska is going to be a very good player. And I think Riley Williams, with his wingspan and his ability to, this catch radius is going to be just amazing. So, Matt, things are looking really good for the Hurricanes in recruiting. And they're still hoping. There's a July 4th announcement that everybody should keep an eye on. And I'll talk about that here real quick since we're not going to have any more shows over the holiday weekend. Francis Magoa is an offensive lineman, a 5-star. Miami's locked in a battle with Tennessee. Right now, I would say Tennessee has a slight edge in that one. But this one's going to go down to the wire, and Miami will be in there fighting until the fireworks go off on July the 4th. And, Matt, they're not going to get everybody. They may not get Magoa. They may not get Howard. But you could see the trajectory of Miami recruiting really starting to take off, and these commitments should put the Canes comfortably in the top 10 in the country in the team rankings that we're projecting, and it's all on the way up from Mario Cristobal and his staff.
So my perspective on this always is, so for instance with Francis, where he's going back and forth, favoring Miami after the visit, then Tennessee's coming along, they're in front, Miami talks to him again, they're in front. These type of recruitments, a lot of these recruits are so set on, I want to decide before my season, because their coaches, their high school coaches, want them to decide before their seasons, and they get upset if they don't because it's a drama. No coach, no high school coach wants to deal with drama during the season. Who wants to deal with that? So even if he winds up going to Tennessee, this is not over. It's not, Mario Cristobal's not going to say, oh well, on to plan C or plan B. No, he's going to keep working the kid. So a lot of these student athletes, young men, whatever you want to call them, who are announcing before the season that are sort of not quite sure. And you can tell out there in On3 land, on their message boards, hopefully, if not now, in the near future, when you hear conflicting things, he's leaning this way, he's leaning that way. And it's because we hear things from sources. Other schools hear things from sources. We hear things from other schools' sources. Other school sources hear things from our sources. And it all becomes muddled. And when it becomes muddled for a certain player, they're really not sure. And they probably shouldn't be committing, quite honestly. But he set a commitment date. He's going to commit. Whether he picks Miami or picks Tennessee, it's not necessarily over for either program, quite honestly. With a guy like Riley Williams, I think he'll be more locked in. He's really set. I think he'll pick Miami, and I think he'll be locked in if he does pick Miami. And the Collins kid is also sort of interesting because the recruiting prediction machine at On3 has him, I think, over 90% going to Michigan. There's other places that everybody says he's going to Michigan. But again, we have our sources who say no. And maybe, now that we're a part of On3, I think they'll, especially if Collins winds up going to Miami, it won't be a win for Miami, Gary. It'll be a win for Gary and Matt, because this On3 recruiting prediction machine, they're going to have to reprogram this machine to give more weight to Matt and Gary.
They haven't had our input yet. The machine,
the machine has
gotten our data. Until midnight last night, it didn't have our data.
Well, as soon as this is over, I'm putting in my prediction for those two kids to go to Miami. And if the prediction machine realizes, wait a minute, Matt Shodell and Gary Ferman know what they're talking about, if you put 1 and 2, then I think they'll start weighting everything.
Don't count our chickens before they hatch now. We think that's going to happen.
I said if it'll be a win not just for Miami fans and coaches, it'll be a win for Matt Shodell and Gary Ferman versus the recruiting prediction machine that On3 is programmed. Yeah. They're going to have to reprogram it.
Otherwise, the machine is going to say, who are these two doofuses that just came into the network from Miami?
The machine might never pay attention to us again. He better come to Miami, because otherwise the machine's definitely going to be like, no.
The machine will block us.
We won't even be able to put predictions
on
anymore.
Ignore, like CD Wright.
Correct.
like how everybody has CD Wright supposedly on ignore, except they say they have him on ignore, but they seem to comment on everything he says quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever read or watch the Douglas Adams book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? It's like that. I picture this giant machine that's basically the size of a skyscraper that can talk and responds. And the machine, I don't know if you've read the book, but the machine's purpose was to discover the meaning of life. And I can't remember how many years they programmed the machine to figure out the meaning of life, but it had been working for probably generations. And then finally the day comes where it says, I've figured out the meaning of life. And everyone comes flocking. What's the meaning of life? I think I can't remember the machine's name. And it says, the meaning of life is, and then it said 39, I think. It gave a number. It just gave a number. That was the meaning of life. Now, that exact number might actually be how many recruits Mario Cristobal signs this cycle. So maybe it is the meaning of life.
Yeah. So anyway,
that's what I picture. That's what I picture the machine looking like, a skyscraper.
Well, now the machine's going to have to get used to our input, so it'll be interesting. Hopefully we're right more than we're wrong, and we don't. I don't end up walking around with a donkey tail like Matt Shodell does on a daily basis.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
When it was 42 was the number.
All right.
For those of you that actually want to know the meaning of life, it was 42. That's the actual number. That is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything. 42.
All right. So we'll have coverage of those announcements today, and we'll have coverage and the announcement on Monday, and we'll see where that takes the Hurricanes forward in the team recruiting rankings. All right. Moving on here.
No idea what I'm talking about, dude. You just had this blank expression.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm like you lost me with that whole.
You're not a science fiction guy. Okay.
Yeah. We're 31 minutes.
You're like, let's move on.
We're 31 minutes in the show. You
don't care about the meaning of life.
People are sitting in the garages of their office complexes at this point.
Meaning of life, meaning of life. Who cares?
They're thinking, it's Gary and Matt's. It's CaneSport's first day at On3. We don't want to be disrespectful and cut them off in the middle of their show. But it's starting to get a little long. So I'm gonna move this.
Well, listen, it's a dollar, Gary. People can just go on the website. Like, we could talk about the stories all day, but they could literally just go on and basically see what we're saying. We say it in our stories.
Yeah,
for the most part.
For all Miami fans out there, the price is $1 for the first year. Amazing.
You know what you get for $1? You can get like a really bad song on iTunes for $1. So for the price of a really bad song,
but this show is a really great website. Free. This is a free show.
I'm talking about
and right now we need to take a break real quick and hear from our friends at LifeWallet.
We here at LifeWallet take security very seriously. Our data security team is working constantly to make sure that your data is not accessed by anybody who you don't authorize.
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm
Excuse me, sir. Thank you.
I have a conversation, and he's thinking about it, and I'll be talking to CC. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We use leading technology standards like biometric data to make sure that only you have access to your data and your identity is protected. LifeWallet gives you access to your entire medical history and information at the touch of your finger, so that it can save you time and can save your life.
Data transfer complete.
All right. So the next story I'm going to talk about, Matt, is obviously coming to On3. There's a whole new set of recruiting rankings that come into the equation. And you've got the On3 rankings, and then you've got the On3 consensus rankings. And what the On3 consensus rankings is a compilation of all four services, On3, Rivals, 247, and ESPN. And it kind of averages out the ranking and creates a consensus ranking. Then, of course, the On3 ranking is the ranking that's done by the recruiting team at On3. So we thought today, being day one, it would be a good day to pull out the Canes prospects that are in the mix with many On3 top 250 prospects. So we do that in a story today. I think you're going to like it. It brings you up to date on all of the Canes targets in the On3 250. And we've got that on the website for you today as well. Another ranking kind of that we're doing We're calling it CaneSport's Player Performance Index. And we have ranked the players on the team. We've pulled out the top 30, and we're going to be breaking them down on a daily basis. So we introduced that on the website today as well, because tomorrow we'll have number 30, and we'll count them down 30 all the way to number 1 of our ranking of the players on the 2022 Miami Hurricanes football team. But Matt, one other story that I did want to mention, we spoke to Miami Killian, well, now Miami Palmetto wide receiver Robbie Washington, and he played 7-on-7 football with Jaden Rashada, Matt, and he could not be a bigger fan. In fact, he tells us, it's in the story today, he tells us that if Jaden Rashada was on this team, he would beat out Tyler Van Dyke to be the starting quarterback.
Yeah, so when he told me that, I thought he was joking. I didn't laugh, but I followed up. I said, are you being serious or are you just joking around? He says, no, he would beat him out. He's better. I'm like, okay, on the record, like, that's what you want? Yes, he would beat out Tyler Van Dyke, who was competing for the Heisman Trophy, and he would beat him out right now as a high school senior. Okay, Robbie, who am I to argue with Robbie Washington, right? I mean, I can barely get away from Stephen Field. I certainly can't get away from Robbie Washington, so I'm not going to argue with him.
But yeah, so that's interesting. So that story is on the website as well. And then, of course, as the day goes forward, we'll have more stuff. You're going to see that part of the at On3, it's constant content that'll be appearing on the site all throughout the day. So it's not just, hey, let me go to CaneSport in the morning and get everything. You're going to see in midday, afternoon, that most days there's going to be a steady flow of content produced by us with our staff that'll be double the size of our former staff. We've hired a young man by the name of Azubi Charles that has a lot of promise. He's a young kid. He's very excited to be working with us at CaneSport. And then we'll be announcing a new recruiting writer here in the near future as well that's going to join our team and be 24/7, 365, pounding out recruiting content for you guys. So,
hey, can I do my first real quick On3 DNR, or we've already gone over too much?
No, go ahead.
All right. This is going to sound crazy to people, but this is my personality, okay? I'm actually a little concerned that I'm feeling so upbeat because I don't want to be let down. And I'm actually upset that Mario Cristobal is doing so well in recruiting and everything looks so great because I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. The other shoe is going to drop. Like this for 20 years, every time you get optimistic, something happens. You get Kyle Wright. Oh my gosh, the team's going to be amazing. And no, it's not. You get Kirby Freeman. Oh, he's going to be great. And he can complete 3 out of 20 passes. I mean, I've watched the movie so many times over and over again that I'm sort of just used to having the rug pulled out from you when things appear great. And for some bizarre reason, I actually think this time it's going to work out. And I swear, Gary, if it doesn't work out, I give up. I give up. Like, what else can Miami do? They put all the money into facilities. They hired the guy that we think is the right guy. They put all the money into the staff. They put all the money into the other staff that doesn't even coach, on the field hypothetically. There's nothing else you can do. They have NIL. They have everything. Like, if this doesn't work, tell me what else would work. And I don't know why. I just have this foreboding. It's maybe I've watched too many horror movies. I have this foreboding feeling that just somebody's going to do something to screw it all up when it just looks like it's all coming together. And that's my DNR is a personal, just like waiting for the other shoe to drop because I have a lot of problems.
Here's what they have to get by right now. I think this is the hurdle, and then we're going to call it quits for today. I think the hurdle is going to be building these new facilities. It's going to cost an enormous amount of money. We keep hearing this $100 million price tag. They can't sit there and go through a year or two of fundraising to build this complex. There's no time for that. The university is going to have to fund the money from the med school. I mean, they're going to have to get probably at least half up front in donations, which I think they will. I mean, I think the Moss brothers and other people are going to be involved. They raised $41 million for the indoor. I think they'll be able to very quickly get to 50 or more for these new buildings, but they can't sit there and wait for the other 50 to sit there and wait to put shovels in the ground. They need this football complex right away. Recruits are being told that shovels are going to be going in the ground. That's what they're going to be expecting. That's what Mario Cristobal is expecting. Dan Radakovich, Rudy Fernandez, President Frank, and the University Board of Trustees, they need to make this thing happen. That's going to be the test coming up for Miami to keep this thing from getting derailed and keep the forward trajectory of the way the program is going. All right, well, that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. As you can tell, we're very excited to be here at On3. We hope you guys are too. Bring your friends. Again, all Miami fans can come in for $1. Doesn't matter if you've ever been a subscriber to CaneSport or not. Come on in, be part of our community, and I hope you'll like what you find. All right, so for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We want everybody to have a great day, and we'll see you. Great 4th of July weekend also, by the way, and we'll see you after the fireworks go off next week. Goodbye, everybody.